Welcome to Truths and Myths, Unpacking Recruitment for Latinas. We are giving, sorry, um, during this event, you can interact with each other in the chat, ask questions to our speakers. My name is Alejandra Gonzalez, and I'm the co-lead in Ottawa. We are excited to have you here today to discuss this interesting topic. First, I will give an introduction about Latinas in Tech. Latinas in Tech is a nonprofit organization that was started by two friends in Silicon Valley in 2014. What began as an informal gathering now grown into a global presence with chapters in numerous cities across US, Canada, Mexico, Brazil, and Europe. We collaborate with different organizations here in Canada that support our dedication to provide Latinas different tools to succeed in the tech industry. Our efforts are focused on three key pillars: learning, recruiting, and mentorships. These pillars ensure that we provide comprehensive support and resources for all of you. We hope that this session will provide you with valuable insights. Thank you for joining us today. Now, Gabby will provide more information about this topic.
Thank you, Alan. So I'm Gabby, Gabriela De Luca. I just shared my LinkedIn URL in the chat. And by the way, feel free to do so. The idea for this event is also networking. That's one of the biggest pillars we have at Latinas in Tech. We're building this great community, and just like getting together over LinkedIn as well it can be a great asset. So feel free to drop your LinkedIn's there as well and just connect to each other. But yeah, so I'm Gabby. I'm a Latinas in Tech chapter lead here in Ottawa alongside Alejandra. We are building these events virtual or local here in Ottawa to get the community together and provide as much information and resources for us to grow together. And I'm also a tech recruiter at MongoDB. It's a database company, and also ERG lead at MongoDB for the Latine ERG. So definitely helping the community is something I have in my heart. And I'm so excited to be moderating this discussion. Actually, this was an idea that came up in one event we organized with Entrust in the beginning of the year. Luisa was there. She is one of the speakers today, and we had a great discussion there. And that's where we had the idea of providing insights of the differences of recruitment when we are talking about agency recruiting and in-house recruiting. Many candidates don't even know that exists, but for us recruiters, that's so clear. And we understand there are differences when candidates apply to each type. So I would love to hear, we have Luisa and Edna. Edna is an in-house recruitment expert. So I'm just gonna start asking you ladies for a brief introduction of yourselves, your career, and what you've been doing. And maybe I start with Luisa, just to not let you fight against who starts.
Thanks, Gabby. Well, thanks everybody for joining. Again, my name is Luisa, and I'm very happy to be in this panel today. I know it's going to be really interesting, so I hope that it's very informational for everybody here. I've been a recruiter for about 8 years, more than 8 years actually. 4 of those years I've been in I was in in-house recruiting. And the last 4.5 years, I've been mostly in agency recruiting. So the main difference there, just to give you a little bit of a insight, right now I work mainly on behalf of different clients, helping them on their selection processes. It's not only one client, not only one industry. It could be private sector, it could be public sector. I work for both in Canada, of course. And depending on the job, depending on the client, each company or client would have a very different way to approach their selection process. So those are the main differences there. I'm a certified recruiter consultant as well, which means that it allows me to work in any consultancy industry. And I've been in tech recruiting for 4 years. I'll give you the word, Edna, if you want to go ahead.
Thank you, Luisa. Thank you, everyone. Very happy to be here. Just a little bit of intro about myself. I was born and raised in Mexico. I started my recruitment career there almost 20 years ago and moved to Canada in 2007. I started my career as an in-house recruiter. Then I went into agency. Then I went back into in-house recruitment. Then I went to RPO services, which is recruitment process outsourcing. And then, which I can talk a little bit more about that if you're interested. And then I'm back into in-house at Shopify, which here at Shopify, I focus on hiring people in the UX division and project management. And I have been in tech, like Shopify was my first full tech company that I joined. Although when I was on the agency side, I did hire for a lot of tech companies back then. But yeah, very excited to be here with you today.
Thank you so much, you both. All right, so we have a lot to cover. We want to discuss the whole journey of a candidate from applying to like even networking. So, but I also want to be mindful about time. So I just want to let everybody know that we will have a hard stop in 15 minutes. I'll do my best to manage the time to have time for questions in the end. If you have questions throughout the discussion, please share them in the chat and the others can react to them. So in the end, we know which questions are more interesting to most people. I also might interrupt the ladies. We already agreed that that's fine. And let's get this started. So we want to explore myths and truth in the industry and job search strategies. So we just want to start with a poll here. Alejandra is gonna pull up a couple of true or false statements, and we would love to hear from you from the bottom of your hearts what you think is true and what you think is false. So just give you 5 seconds for it. And as you can tell, our first topic will be applying for jobs. So, Alan, what we have there?
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Yes, we can see. I believe everybody can. So the first one was I should edit my resume every time I apply for a job. Most people said true. And the second one was I should write a cover letter every time I apply for a job. That's also the majority thinks it's true. So I want to start with the resume and editing resumes when you apply. And I want to ask, maybe I will start with Edna here. If you could choose, Edna, one advice to give people about tailoring a resume when they apply for a job, what would you say is your advice?
So when you like, I'm a firm believer of like you can actually put together a resume that is general enough that can fit most of the jobs that you are applying to, because at the end of the day, sometimes, especially in recruitment, if you are looking for like a career in recruitment, you can actually recruit for anything out there if you have the right skills to do it. So I rather prefer like a very good general resume, and then maybe at the beginning putting something related to the job that you're applying. But I will not spend a lot of time like on this because it's daunting, right? And usually like recruiters spend like probably 10-15 seconds to look at other resumes. So I will not like I mean, you can do it, but don't kill yourself on it.
So you would say, like, if you tailor for the job you're applying, focus on, like, usually resumes have that summary part.
Yeah, just
So
focus
just
on the
edit that
first part. Yes, focus on the first part, like really, like just to get that attention. But it's not especially when recruiters have like a lot of resumes to go through. Like for example, in in-house, uh, uh, or like we get hundreds of resumes every day. So like I don't spend more than a few seconds on each of them. Like so really like just on the first part. So I rather have like everything in one page than a tailored resume. For me, that makes my life easier.
Super fair. Thank you. And what do you think, Luisa? Do you agree? Disagree?
Okay, so I do agree in how time consuming this can be if you are tailoring your resume every time. So I would say you can always have a very general version that would include everything that you've done in terms of skills, experience, certifications, and so on. But I would add to that that it's very important to have in mind what sector and what type of industry are you applying for. I've had the opportunity to work for many different clients in many different industries. And I can tell you that, for example, if you're applying for private sector, that would definitely not be the case. Um, the more the better for government, the less is better for private. So things to have in mind, because a one-page resume, two-page resume when you're applying for a public sector opportunity, government, either at the federal government level, provincial government level, or any government level, would not be successful.
Okay.
So that
That's
would be,
super. Yeah, I never recruit for government in Canada, so that's something I didn't know. So the
yeah,
more the better.
the
Good to
more the
know.
better, to the point that it's people don't believe it, but I have seen resumes that are 20 pages long, and it is good. It's not bad. Of course, in private sector is not quite the case. But I'll say again, just to agree with Edna, the summary part, the profile part is where you are kind of calling the hiring manager or the recruiter's attention to your resume. So that first or second paragraph should definitely be tailored towards whatever you're applying for.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And now I'll just ask you, Luisa, what about cover letters? Like, is that a must every time? That's a big one.
It is a big one. It is a big one, and I think this is a great discussion because I know we're not going to have the same point of view here. When you apply for a job through an agency recruiter, you gotta wait for them to tell you whether or not this is needed. Majority of the times when I get the application, I'm not gonna need it. I'm not gonna be the person who needs the cover letter. I'm gonna make sure that I have a conversation with you and I'm gonna tell you and advise you if you need tailoring and if you need a cover letter. So you gotta know, are you applying directly with the company or are you applying through an agency?
Perfect. Thank you. And you, Edna, do you agree? Is it different in-house?
Yes, I don't read cover letters. I mean, I don't even know we have a choice to add cover letters in our in our applicant track. Like if you apply, I don't my God, on top of my head, I don't think there is an option to add your cover letters because I haven't seen one in many years. And if I see one, I just, I want to know your experience and I want to know if what you have, what's needed for the job. But then again, like the kind of profiles that I'm currently hiring for are very specialized roles. So for me, it's more important. What we do a lot though is we have especially if you are coming through our applicant tracking, like our like application system, you ask a lot of we ask a lot of questions, right? I'm more interested in knowing the answer of those questions than what it is in the cover letter. But that's just what I see and what I've been I've been experiencing in the past 4 years.
Yeah. Sorry, because I think what Luisa said about that too, because the impression I have, because I don't have much experience with agency recruitment, but it's like, well, when you work in an agency as a recruiter, you are more like focused on also coaching the candidate and giving those advice that you were mentioning, Luisa. And when it's an in-house recruiter, we have high volume for very specific roles in one company. So we're not, it's more like you need to give us the feedback with the hard skills, and we won't
100%.
have that coaching work that usually agency recruiters are so much better than us. And like that's the focus too, right? So,
Yeah.
all right. By the way, I love when we disagree, okay? Just to let everybody know, because that's the idea. Okay,
Just to add to that
go
before
for
you
it.
jump in, I think there is two different scenarios in which I think it would be quite impressive to have, or it would be good to add to your application. And it's whenever you're reaching out and you're not reaching out for a specific opportunity, you're more kind of interested to work in that company, and you're just reaching out to the recruiter. Therefore, your cover letter is not going to be focusing on what's the motivation to apply for a certain role, but more of a certain company. And the other time that I've seen it happening is when you are changing careers, or when you're kind of adding that extra cover letter or motivational letter that explains your transactional skills. So maybe explaining why is it that you're doing the transition and what skills you had in the past that would be beneficial for your new career path.
Perfect. Thank you. Thanks for adding that. I see the questions coming in the chat, so please continue reacting to them. So at the end, we know which ones to ask. But I'm going to move to the next topic, which is, okay, we applied, we got an interview. So interviewing. Alan, are you ready to come up with the questions? Okay, or the statements better said. Let's see. So the first interview is usually with the hiring manager. True or false? I should prepare to answer technical questions during the first interview. True or false? I just need to think about salary in the end of the process. True or false? All right, so let's see what we have here. Okay, so the first statement, the first interview is usually with the hiring manager. Most people think it's false. Then I should prepare to answer technical questions during the first interview. Most people think it's true. And I just need to think about salary in the end. Most people think false. I'll just say I love to see the false for the last one because that's true. Okay, let's talk salary at the beginning, please. So let's go then and open the discussion to Edna and Luisa. Maybe I can start with Luisa now. Can you tell us what types of interviews, like of course in general, like what would be a first, second, third interview?
Yeah, I'll say there's always the one-on-one interview or phone screening that you would have with the recruiter. That would be kind of like the first contact you're gonna have with the company. You can also then from there have directly an interview with the hiring manager, depending on what the hiring manager and the recruiter have agreed on. So this selection process is something that they have discussed in the past, and it could be either a one-on-one interview, also it could be a group interview or a panel, just like what we're doing today, but instead of just, it would be the candidate with a bunch of people representing the company, and it could be the hiring manager and maybe some of their current team members. And finally, this could be a mix between a behavioral interview and a technical interview, or it could be separate. So behavioral meaning they're looking at your past experience and how you have solved certain issues or certain problems. And a technical interview would be more of a case study. So they would give you cases, they would give you examples, and you need to solve the issue right away on the spot. That's kind of like the process generally, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and with that, like most people here are right about the first interview or like contact is usually with the recruiter, not with the hiring manager. Maybe the second would be, got it. Okay, Edna, how does it work in-house?
It depends. I'll say it really depends um over the past 4 years. It has moved. We have had like different ways of approaching this, but for example, at this moment, all candidates, especially for technical roles, do the technical interviews first before they come and meet with us. So I will not be talking to a candidate on sometimes until I'll be like the third step of the interview process. So usually they'll do the like async technical exercises, then they'll meet with not even with the hiring manager. They'll do like they will be doing like technical interviews, and then I will be assessing for culture. Then we'll have another last interview, and then at the end we do what is called team matching. So basically, the hiring that we're doing, especially in R&D, like which is engineering, UX, project management, it is more of hiring for the company, and then at the end we do see where these candidates will fit best. So yes, you should be like, especially if you're going into a tech company, and they usually have all of this explained, but most of the interviews, especially the two first ones, are technical.
I think that's great that you brought that up, because I see that happening with like very high volume companies that get like literally thousands of candidates, and a recruiter is screening them would be like not productive. But also you need now, okay, this is a recruiter thinking about the process. Okay, sorry, candidates. But uh, in these cases too, you have a big pool of interviewers to do that personal technical screen, right, with the candidates, like the first
Yes,
call.
absolutely. We have a very big pool of interviewers that are taking on these interviews, and also the candidates that get to them. That's not the first initial step, right? They already completed craft like technical exercises that are letting us know that they have the basic skill, well, the skills to do the job. So this will not be we will not be putting a candidate that we just like with a like moving from to talk to interviewers right away. Like there are tests and exercises before that.
Got it. Okay. And thinking of questions candidates ask, um, whether it's an interview with you, Edna, and Luis, of course, I'm just going to start with Edna, or even in roundtables when you see or hear an interviewer talking about a question a candidate asked. Do you remember like a great question that a candidate asked you that you think, okay, this is very thoughtful?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. You know what? Like, I think one of the questions that oh God, this was yesterday. This person asked me what was the most difficult time that I have had work like that I have had in my current role. So what was the role that actually, like I said, this is actually really hard. And we all have them, right? But people always ask us, what is it to work there? Or what do you like about working there? But yesterday was asked what was the most difficult time that I had, and I think that was very good.
It is a good one, because yeah, I also get a lot of like, tell me about the culture, or yeah, what you like, why are you there? But that question makes you think, so you're gonna probably give a very genuine answer, and the candidate is getting the information they need about culture, how you were supported, how you handled. So yeah, that's a great question. I loved it. Luisa, do you remember one like that you liked?
Um, I really liked that was actually last week as well. More towards, like what's the culture like, or what are they working on? This person asked me, how does success look in this particular position? It was just another way of saying, how am I successful in that position? And also indirectly asking me, is there any opportunities of growth after that, after I reach that success? So of course, at that point, I have to be very familiar with the company's culture or the client that I'm working with, but I thought that it was interesting because they ask two questions in one, basically.
And it kind of shows you a little bit of like results driven type of mindset, because they are already thinking like, what will be my metrics? Do they measure that? Do they have performance reviews? And as you said, like in the end, they're getting the answer, will I have clear growth opportunities, right?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that one.
And a lot
And
of
what?
people
Oh, sorry.
are sometimes afraid of asking that, or even when they do, they apologize, which I find quite interesting because they're like, oh, I'm sorry, I shouldn't be asking about growth when I haven't even gotten the job. But I think that asking about those type of opportunities in the future and your career path within the company also, as you said, Gabi, like it shows the drive. It shows how interested they are in staying as well.
Yeah, and like long-term thinking, right? Okay, this person is thinking about staying here. So yeah, definitely. And what are questions, I'll start with you, Luisa, that you think they must ask, like especially to the recruiter, because I think that's what we can talk about more. In the recruiter call, what are questions they should be asking? And sometimes they don't.
I'll say general. First of all, they should ask about the selection process, regardless of it's in-house, according to what I had in the past, my experience in-house and in agency recruiting. They should ask about how the process is going to look like, how many interviews, technical tests, how should they prepare to be successful for that sec second step or step after meeting with me. That would be one. The second one would be more than what's the job, or what's the job description, tasks and responsibilities, because I'm sure at that point we have a job description. They can have it or grasp it from there. They should be asking about the the team itself, how is it shaped, and also what current projects are they working on. We have certain tasks and responsibilities or operational tasks or admin tasks we need to do in every single one of our jobs, but we also have projects happening. So it's important to know, I think, those, so that you're aware that those projects are going to be the ones that you're going to be working on as soon as you're hired. And I would say the last one, it's more on whether or not the company has gone through any particular changes recently, digital transformation changes, any big implementations. This is big in tech because it'll allow you to know in what state the company is as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything to add, Edna?
I will say that's very good. So I agree with all those questions. They should be asked. I think also if there is something that you one of the things that I think like people are asking is like, what are the work arrangements? Is this like working from, is it a remote company? Is it hybrid? And if it is a remote company, do you have offices? Do you have people, going into the offices and like an in-office workforce or like remote? And I think, how the culture is in terms of like working from home, working hybrid, and fully in office. I think it's also that something that should be asked. I've been noticing more and more that people, like companies, will say, oh, I have this position is remote. And once you talk to them, some friends are telling me, oh, they say it's remote, but you have to be going into the office like 2 days a week. So I think nowadays we need to also say, okay, how is the work, how do you work in your company? That's also a good question to add.
Definitely. Yeah, I totally agree with both of you too. Maybe the only one I would add, and it's related to the statement about salary, because I know some recruiters won't bring that up. And in case they don't, I would say just ask about salary ranges in case that's not clear. Sometimes it's clear already, but if it's not, if you have any questions about salary, ask the recruiter. Because the last thing we want is to get to the end of the process after hours and hours from everybody involved to find out we are not aligned in terms of salary. So definitely not wait till the end. All right. Thank you. So we're going to move to the next one, which is you did the interviews, you got an offer or a rejection. So Alejandra, ready? Okay. In a market like this, you should not negotiate salary. Feedback is always welcome. Talking here about feedback after an interview process. And I do not need to provide a salary expectation at the beginning of the process. All right, we'll see what people are thinking in the group. Okay, wow, 100% false about negotiating the salary. So you should negotiate. Feedback is always welcome. Most people think it's true. And I do not need to provide a salary expectation at the beginning of the process. Most people think it's false. So let's dive into those. About negotiating an offer. So you got an offer, start with Edna. What's the best way to deal with that? Should you negotiate, say yes right away, wait a few days? Like, how do you think is the best? Not just for the company, but I think for the candidate, you know?
Yeah, that's a very tricky question because it really depends on a lot of things that can be like, and it also depends on the company, right? Sometimes, like, when companies do present an offer, there might not be a room for negotiation. And that's a reality. So you can ask for things and the answer will be no. And no matter how many negotiating skills you have, there's nothing that can be done because of a lot of approvals and what is in place in that at a time. That doesn't mean that you should not ask. And at the end of the day, like, we will, like, you can always ask for, like, is it more money? Is it more vacation time? Is it more like whatever is important to you? With and I think it also ties to the first the question about salary expectations. It really also depends on where you are in your career and what you like. For me personally, I like to come even during the first interview, say like, this is my salary expectations. This is what I'm looking for. If this is not what you can offer, that is totally okay. I can walk away and nothing, like, like no hard feelings. But when I get into the offer stage, I am expecting what I ask. So I'm the kind of person who likes to bring everything at the beginning, and then at the end, if I get what I ask, then I'm like,
why not?
there's no
Yeah.
point for me. Like, I've been negotiating since the very beginning. I've been telling what's important to me. So I expect that at the end. And if you met that, then like, this is it, done and done.
I think that's a great point because many times what we get a lot with like LinkedIn influencers is that you should always negotiate. But if they are
Mhm.
giving you what you ask for, maybe ask for a day to think about, because
Yeah.
everybody needs to read an offer. But if if they are giving you what you ask for, why not say yes?
Yeah, exactly. Like, to me, like, at least I've been in situations that whenever I go to the office, they're like, okay, check, like, this is exactly what, like, and then like, done. Like, yes, of course you think you read the documents, but like, I mean, and that's also creates like a really, like, especially with the candidates that I work with, it's like a trust, like, you tell me what you want, I tell you, okay, this is what I can do. And then you've been in conversation, so there's no surprises at the end. But yes, I agree with you. I don't think, like, it's just like, oh, you should not agree, like, but that's what you asked for. So like, it's not like, and sometimes we may believe that because we got that, that if we accept what we got offered, we are not giving ourselves a service. But at the end of the day, like you've been working towards this in the beginning.
Thank you so much. And yeah, back to that, talking about salary since the beginning with the recruiter, it will probably give you the offer you want. Luisa, any thoughts, like anything to add even?
No, I think I agree with both. I think that it is important, and I also like the fact that the candidates would come to me from the very beginning, and I would make sure to ask, "This is the budget. What's your salary expectation?" If I cannot meet you halfway, I'm gonna tell you right away, we cannot meet the budget. I'll have you in mind for something else in the future for some other position. If there is any conditions that you need, any accommodation, anything that we should know it from day one. And it's our recruiter's job to say whether or not we can accommodate, or our client or our company would accommodate to that. And if we continue with the selection process knowing all those details, I'm sure that it's because we can meet them at that point, if that was communicated to us, of course. And I do agree that also when you're getting an offer, you definitely need some time to reflect. um, just for your own sake, you should be able to first of all reflect on the offer and understand very clearly, thing by thing, that they're offering, what does that mean. And even if you have to have a call with the recruiter where they can go through the offer with you in every single one of the details there, I think it'll be more beneficial than just going and accepting yes, just out of a rush. And then, of course, not getting what you wanted, or maybe you missed something that was in the offer that you couldn't understand at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. And most people, most companies will give you at least 48 hours, I would say, to sign. And I think you brought up something important, Luisa, that's aligning conditions from the beginning, not just salary. Sometimes I have candidates like, oh, my wedding is gonna be in a month, and so I can't start until November 1st. Is that okay for you? Or you have a strict start date, things like that. So the conditions not can be something else, right? Not just salary. Um, and about a potential rejection at any stage, Luisa, what do you think about candidates asking for feedback after a rejection? Should that happen every time? It's always a good thing. Sometimes, no, it doesn't make any sense. What do you think?
I think it makes sense, of course, if you have gone through some interview with the client. There is no harm in asking for feedback. If we have feedback, we will provide it to you. In my case, in agency recruiting, that's part of the work. That's, as you said, Gabby, at some point, we are working on behalf of our clients, but we're coaching candidates at the same time. So if I know that you're, let's say, a must play, someone that I really see potential based on your experience preferences, but I have some feedback to give you that it's going to make that next interview process or selection process much better for you, I will advise you of that, of course, if I have the information. But I'll say only when you have gone through any interviews with the client or with the company per se, or hiring manager in the case of hiring in-house.
Thank you. Yeah, Edna, what do you think?
I say like it it depends. It depends. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. It depends. At the end of the day, you can ask for feedback, but sometimes you kind of know what's going on, right? Like, I've been in situations that I have interviewed for a role that I know, you know what, like, I think I don't have the industry experience. I don't have certain experience, and I know I'm against like a lot of people, and I have gotten like feedback say, oh, we're not moving forward. We found like other candidates that are more suitable. And I kind of like, yeah, I understand. So in those situations, I know like in most of the times it's not personal. So I was okay, it's not, I was not the one. I'm not even go there because I know whatever I'm gonna get, it's not going to be valuable for me. Um, I do ask for feedback when, yes, we are more into the process. I actually think, I got a shot. I actually think I have the skills. I actually think I did a good job in the interviews. If that is not the case and I get a no, then yes, I want to know why, right? But I also like in my years, so in my job search in the past, I have come up with interviews that I know I didn't do a good job. So like that was not good. Like, I don't think, I don't, and you know, people can have bad days. Right? I remember when I first had my daughter like 13 years ago, like someone called me and I think the recruiter asked me like, what do you want to do next? And I replied, so like, I have no idea. I really have no idea. It was very truthful, right? But after that, it's like, who's gonna call me back? I know they're gonna call, and they didn't. I didn't ask for feedback because I know like it was a very, very bad interview. But anyway, it was the after like I had a baby. But the point is like, you know, sometimes if you like, I think it merits, but sometimes like, you know, I just when I know I'm not going to bother.
Yeah. And I think especially when, okay, you went through the whole process, you put into 7, 8 hours of your time. If you went through the whole process, the team saw potential. So maybe in those cases, it makes sense. Because also, I think it's tricky that some candidates don't understand is we can't really provide feedback with one interview, for instance, because we can't provide feedback about a specific interview. We can provide generic feedback, so we also need more information to provide anything. And I usually I would say it's like a way to pay back. That's not the best term, but you know, the person gave a lot of time. So what I see also in general in that it depends is like usually recruiters will be more open to provide feedback when they went through the whole process. But if you gave 1 or 2 interviews, we don't even have the information to give, right?
That is very
Yeah.
true. For like everyone, at least of my candidates, for everyone that goes through the whole interview process, if they do not get to an offer, I do offer a half an hour feedback call with each of them.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It's something that I learned at Shopify, probably. Yeah, because Edna and I work together at Shopify.
Yeah.
People don't know what we're talking about. All right. So we have 15 minutes left. I want to leave time for questions. So I'm just going to explore one more topic. They are kind of related. The two last topics were networking on LinkedIn, and LinkedIn profiles. We do get a lot of information about LinkedIn profiles, so I'm not going to go there. So maybe we can explore just a little bit about networking over LinkedIn. Ale, do we have a poll for that? Okay, bring it up. Okay, yeah, it's connected to networking. A referral is more important than a good resume. We could explore this a little bit though, because this is a good one. Okay, let's explore this one. We leave networking on LinkedIn for another day. Okay, what we have, true, a referral is more important than a good resume. Okay, we need to explore this. So this is gonna be the last one, and then I'll go to Q&A. Luisa seems excited, so I'm gonna start with you, Luisa. Tell me your thoughts.
I like the answers. I like to see what people think. I would say they're both as important. I think that, of course, a good referral, someone you would know that would be able to put out work for you in the company or organization that you're applying for, would definitely help you out somehow to kind of put your resume up front of the hiring manager. But the resume is your presentation letter. They haven't known you, they haven't seen you yet. They might know you from LinkedIn, but they don't really know who you are and what you bring to the table. So I would say the resume is your presentation letter, just like your motivational letter, just like your cover letter. If you don't have time to meet with them with your referral, what are you going to do? You need a good presentation letter. That's what I would say.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're both equally important. I mean, the referral will put you in front of the hiring manager or the recruiter. But if your resume is not good and if you do not have the like, you know, the skills to the job, then like at the end of the day, someone can say that you're very good at it. But if it's not what, you know, it's being like, you know, we're currently looking for, then that will be it. Or if the resume is terrible, then even if someone refer you, that's not gonna go far. So, but yeah, both. I will say both.
Yeah, maybe the referral will get your resume on top of the list, but it doesn't guarantee anything, right?
Yeah, absolutely no. It does not guarantee. It does not guarantee anything. It will get looked at, I'll say. Yeah.
For sure. And I would just, yeah, because that statement was also connected to the networking topic. Because some people will spend a lot of time like crafting the resume, you know, maybe applying to thousands of jobs, but maybe trying to network and get a referral can help you more than applying to 1,000 of jobs. That was the connection with this statement. But all right, I just want to say that this was an incredible discussion. I hope everybody enjoyed just as much as I did. So I just want to thank you both already. I'll thank you more for sure for many days. But let's have a look at the Q&A and see if we can explore some questions that came up. I'm just looking at it now because I'm looking at the reactions, but I see one with 8 people. Where is it? Okay, it's directed to Edna, but I'd love to hear both. But it's something that Edna said. It comes from another Alejandra. And Edna, what is it that you look for in those 15, 20 seconds? So this was when we were talking about reviewing resumes that you mentioned just a few seconds. And she's asking if you have an example. So in such a short period of time, what do you look at?
So I'll say if you do have like the skills to do the job that I'm hiring for. So for example, like when I hire designers for Shopify, what I do is the first of all, I don't even look at your resume, I open your portfolio, right? So you have to include like a portfolio with the work and product that you have done. So I look at portfolio and I just like see how well put it is. Then I'll go and see where have you worked as a designer for how long, and what are the like products that you have worked on. So that usually is what I'm like. Can you do you have the skills to the job that I'm hiring for?
Yeah. Luisa, anything to add? Because I'm sure you also review a lot of resumes in a short period of time.
Yeah, definitely. If let's say any client is looking for any specific certifications, which might be the case, you want to kind of make sure you address that at the very top, even below your name or in your profile. And any technical skills for IT related or tech positions, very, very important. If you're a developer, what languages are you familiar with? If you're into project executive, project management, or any type of executive level roles, we want to know what type of projects you have dealt with. What's the nature of those projects, for example, within IT, because IT is it's a whole world. It could be anything. Could be, is it infrastructure? Is it development? Is it application development? Is it networking? So cybersecurity. What's the area in which you have expertise? And of course, the rest is just the usual amount of experience and how you meet the requirements depending on the role.
Yeah, I think what I'm getting from the both of you is like when you say skills too, and like technical skills, it's like those hard skills, things that are super objective, not like I'm a problem solver, not that type of skill, but more like, yeah, is it Java? Is it, I don't know, Jira, like things that you can't discuss, you know, or you don't know, right?
100%.
That's for the resume.
I'll say that a lot of people sometimes add about their personable skills or those soft skills, as you would say. But those are skills that we're going to be assessing during our selection process. So we don't need that to be there. And we need to know more about the hard skills or the technical skills.
Got it. Thank you. All right, let's go to the next one. It's a good one. Okay, it comes from Isis. What advice would you give for people who are not specialized but more generalists, given some of the job postings are so specific? For example, project manager in different industries or consultants. I think we're getting a lot of that too. So is anyone want to go first? Like, what advice do you give for someone building a resume and they are more generalist? but they want to apply for a more specialized role.
Mm.
Isis, please correct me if I got the question wrong. Okay, I'm explaining your question. Anyone want to go first?
I want to hear Edna for sure. But I'll say if you want to apply for a specialized role, you need to focus on those skills on your resume. If you have I guess you would have a general version of your resume where you mention everything, but if it's a very niche role, you need to focus on what experience you have in that niche or in that specialization. So there must be some tailoring there every time, unfortunately.
Yeah, I would say that. I think this is the good opportunity to when you to have this to tailor your resume into the company that you're applying to. If you are more of a generalist, that you can find something that is relatable to the place that you're going to, and even as a generalist, I'm pretty sure there's some stronger points that you have. So use them and try to also tailor your search into how you can apply those and where they can be a match.
Thank you. I loved how the two answers were connected too. Like the four answers in the end, but like how to tailor. And now as a generalist, you focus on the hard skills, the tools you know, things like that. Cool. Okay, it's the last question because we are almost at time. So I'm just gonna go with okay, I'm gonna go with this one. It has 5 reactions. For mid-level career job seekers, how many? Oh, yeah, this is a good one. How many years? Mid-level, senior, staff. Okay. How many years of experience do I list on my resume as a mid-level career job seeker? How far back do I go for a general resume? How many years do you think is a mid-level? That's another LinkedIn discussion.
I don't know if that's a standardized thing across every one of us, but I'll say for me, a mid intermediate, it's someone between 5 and 7. That's what I would consider mid-level.
I see it varies too when, like, let's say, okay, I have, at least in my case, recruitment, I have over 10 years of experience, but tech recruiting, I have 7. So sometimes it's also that, like, am I mid, am I senior in terms of recruitment or tech recruitment? But when they are building a resume, how far back do you think they should go? Like, should they detail 20 years of experience? Should they detail 7 and then maybe just mention the other 13 years?
I do like I'm trying to remember. I haven't touched my resume in a while, but I think I focus on the past 10 years and then the rest I listed. I really try to leave my resume into one. I know this is the one-page resume. I'm a little bit going back to it, but I will just like detail the past 10 years and then the other ones listed. But that's just a personal preference that I have. Yeah.
I think it depends on the job you're applying, but it's a great a great thing to do, as Edna was saying, just let's say focus on elaborating on the last 10 or last 7, whichever or how many years of experience the job is requiring. But if you have more than that, or even if the job is asking for more than that, it's just that your resume would be too long, then you would just list it. So you would make sure that you have 2 or 3 of those other jobs listed there. And if they need additional clarification, maybe you have a longer version that you can send their way after you get that one first interview.
Yeah, and that connects with like how to tailor. Because yeah, as you said too, like it does vary a lot depending on the company, how companies give names to, like mid-level, intermediate, senior staff, principal, all of that.
Yeah.
So reading the job posting. By the way, reading the job posting takes you far because not many people read the job posting. So if they say the years of experience and making sure you are aligned. Cool. All right. So we are at time. Again, I want to like thanks everyone who is here. We had a full house. It's amazing to see. I know we also had two amazing guests, so I do appreciate you both so much, Edna and Luisa, for accepting the invitation. Luisa for having the idea with us, you know, and helping also put everything together. Edna for being so available and open with like moving countries and everything. So really appreciate you both. We had an amazing discussion. I hope everybody enjoyed just as much as I personally did. And of course, thank Alejandra because she organized the whole technical aspect of this call. So thank you too, Ale. Yeah, and I hope to see you all soon. We have many events going on for Latina Heritage Month for Latinas in Tech. So please follow us on LinkedIn, Instagram. Now it's just like the social media. I saw Luisa shared her LinkedIn in the chat. If you want to connect, Edna, if you want to, feel free to share your link. Ale, anyone here who wants to make connections, please use the time now to share your LinkedIn. But I'm sure we'll see each other very soon again.
Well, thanks for the invite. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
So much. Thank you.
very much, everyone. Have a good day.
Bye, everybody.
Have a great day. Bye. Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye. Take care. Bye.